Illinois-Missouri bragging rights game. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen today. And thank you to FanDuel for sponsoring today's episode. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. My name is Sonny Verma, your host here at Locked On, where I continue to provide you coverage each and every day. Everything you see, everything you hear is absolutely free. So if you're a fan of the Illini, you've stumbled across the right place. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing. For today's episode, I figured we'd talk a little bit about the big game on Monday evening. And of course, I'm talking about Illinois versus Missouri in the bragging rights game. After sitting with that Nebraska loss for a full week, Illinois finally gets what it needs: a reset game, a rivalry game, and honestly, a reality check game for both programs. Monday night in St. Louis, it's bragging rights. Illinois Fighting Illini versus Missouri Tigers. And no matter what the record says, no matter what the rankings say, this game always lives in its own universe. But this year, I think there's a lot more even under the surface. For Illinois, this game is about response. You lose a heartbreaker to Nebraska at the buzzer, a game where you did a lot of good things, but also let one hot shooter swing the entire night. And when you sit on it for 9 days, well, that can go one of two ways. Either it's going to linger or it's going to sharpen you. Brad Underwood teams historically respond well when they're challenged, and this is the perfect test. Neutral court, hostile crowd split right down the middle, and a Missouri team with a shiny record that hasn't quite been tested the way Illinois has. For Missouri, this is all about legitimacy. They're 10-2. That looks great on paper, but the resume, it's kind of thin. When they've stepped up in class, Kansas, I guess you can argue Notre Dame, things haven't gone as smoothly. And analytics back that up. Missouri's net sits way back compared to Illinois. Ken Pom isn't impressed, and defensively, there are some real cracks. So this comes down to a referendum. Can Illinois prove it belongs in the top tier of the Big Ten conversation? Or can Missouri finally grab a win that actually moves the needle? To give a little preview on Missouri's going to want to play fast. They are going to want space, and they're going to want rhythm. And when everything's clicking, they can look dangerous. But here's the problem. Their offense is fragile. When perimeter shots fall, they're confident. When they don't, the offense bogs down quickly. Guards hesitate, possessions stretch, and decision-making shows. Dennis Gates has even acknowledged that this team struggles in those middle stretches when the things aren't flowing naturally. And defensively, this is where Illinois should feel pretty confident. Missouri does not have any sort of consistent rim protection, and that's not an opinion. That Kansas exposed it brutally. Drives were uncontested, post touches were clean, help rotations were late, which is a dangerous recipe against this Illinois roster. Guys you have to keep an eye out when it comes to Missouri: Mark Mitchell, he's the engine, averaging 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists a night. He's strong, he's physical, he's going to get his points inside, but he's not much of a spacing threat, and that matters. You can load the paint, you can sit on drives, you can force him into tough twos instead of kickouts. Illinois doesn't need to stop Mitchell, they just need to contain him without collapsing. Then you also have Jacob Cruz, who's also a real danger. Cruz is one of the best shooters in the country, and I'm not just talking SEC. Hitting nearly 53% from three. He's high volume, deep range, quick release. If he gets clean looks, Missouri's offense breathes. And if he doesn't, things tighten fast. This is where Illinois' perimeter discipline gets tested again after that Nebraska game. You cannot let a guy like Cruz, and Cruz is the candidate I would see fulfilling this, torch you for another 30 points on Monday evening. Then we also have Anthony Robinson, the second, our old friend. High energy guard, defensive pest, a playmaker, but he's been cold lately from three. Illinois should invite him to shoot jumpers and focus instead on cutting off transition opportunities, because that's where Robinson's value spikes the most. It's when he's able to create chaos. Now we flip it over to the Illini side. Illinois has something Missouri simply doesn't. They have size plus skill plus versatility. Now Missouri has the size. They're one of the few teams in the country as big as Illinois. But when you combine the other two, I think that's where Illinois gets the advantage. First and foremost, you have Kylan Boswell. He's faster than Missouri's bigger guards. He's stronger than their small ones. And I think if Illinois needs control, composure, and pace management, that is where Kylan Boswell can shine. Just have him attack downhill, force switches, get to the line, make Missouri defend multiple actions instead of freelancing. In this game, Boswell doesn't need 25 points, but he needs to be the guy in control. We can also talk about Keaton Wagler and Andrei Stojakovic, because I think this is, between those two guys, is where they can create matchup problems. Missouri isn't used to guarding 6'6" and 6'7" wings who can shoot, slash, and rebound. Wagler's size alone disrupts passing lanes, and Stojakovic's length allows Illinois to recover without overhelping. Those two are crucial, in my opinion, defensively against guys like Cruz and against Mitchell. Then if we have the Ivišić brothers, and this might be the game. Tomislav and Zavadimir, they give Illinois optionality that Missouri may or may not be able to match. They can pull the big out of the paint. They can space the floor, run pick and pop, and force help decisions. Missouri center, Sean Phillips, is solid, but he really can't guard in space for 40 minutes without cracking. I think if Illinois plays through the bigs early, Missouri's defense will bend. We can talk back about that Nebraska lesson and what they might have learned, because Illinois just lived through what might be considered a nightmare scenario. One player gets nuclear hot, and everything else becomes irrelevant. I'll say it, this cannot happen again. The good news is Missouri's offense is more predictable than Nebraska's was, at least that night. If Illinois stays connected defensively, they can close out under control and avoids unnecessary help rotations. Missouri doesn't have the same shot creation path or the depth. The Nebraska loss should sharpen rotations, not scare them. So my keys to the game, first and foremost, the guy I'm afraid of is Cruz. So you need to take away Cruz. Make Missouri uncomfortable. Force tough twos. And no rhythm threes. Number two, own the paint. This has to be Illinois' advantage. Post touches, offensive rebounds, get to the free throw line. Number three, value the ball. Missouri's going to want chaos. Illinois needs to stay in control. Then you have number four, toughness. I think this game is going to be physical. And not just because, well, every game between Illinois and Missouri is physical. I just think that this game itself, with the style of both of these basketball teams, you're going to see a lot of free throws, fouls, and second chances. And whoever embraces that is going to win this game. The bigger picture is Illinois has better wins, they have better metrics, and they have better depth. But so did Nebraska. Missouri has urgency and pride, but they're also under a lot of pressure. If Illinois plays its games, doesn't chase shooters recklessly, and leans into the skill that it has combined with its size, I think this matchup favors the orange and blue. The thing is, this isn't about style points. It's about composure, execution, and response. Braggin Rights games, they don't care about records, but they do care about toughness, discipline, and who handles chaos better. Illinois has been here before. Missouri hasn't passed this test yet. Monday night, I think, is going to tell us a lot about both programs. And again, my key, the number one guy I'm looking forward to watching, and I alluded to this last week, is David Mirkovic. Brad Underwood wasn't shy about calling David out about his lack of effort or his lack of good practices the week before, and how it kind of relayed over to that game against Nebraska, where David had the worst game of his young collegiate career. Well, he got called out, and I talked about how I only think Brad would do something like that is if he was confident that the player could handle it. So the number one guy who I'm going to be watching every time he's on the basketball court is David. Watch his hustle, watch his effort. Because quite honestly, I've said this before, David's ceiling is what the Illini ceiling is. This Illinois team can get to the Elite Eight. I genuinely believe that. But if you have aspirations for beyond that, it's because David Mirkovic is going to be your best player. Missouri doesn't have anyone that can guard David Mirkovic at his peak powers. Quite honestly, there's not a lot of teams in the country that have a player that can guard David. So which David shows up Monday night, we'll see. But just remember, you can watch the post-game live show immediately right here at Locked On Illini. Let me know your score predictions. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum, swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. Speaking of shift, who watched the Bears-Packers game on Saturday night? Talk about a momentum shift. Receiver can get hot, or a quarterback, a.k.a. Caleb Williams, can get hot, and the Iceman cometh. Just remember, with FanDuel, live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. And you can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. And we'll come back to Locked On Illini. Let's shift gears and continue to do the What the Coaches Said segment, which was requested by you guys. Again, if you guys have ideas that you guys want me to talk about, shoot me an email at talkillini@gmail.com. I always appreciate the communication I have with you guys. And there's a couple of you who wanted me to recap some of the press conferences on the football side because you don't have time to listen to all of them. And so I wanted to kind of do that. Now, Brad Underwood had a lot of interesting things to say on Sunday, and I was going to make separate segments of them, but I just feel like it was so incredibly interesting that I just wanted to devote it, give you about 10 minutes to kind of recap what he discussed, because I think there was a lot there, and especially Brad Underwood gave us a lot to chew on, especially heading into bragging rights. And honestly, I think it's one of the more revealing media availabilities that he's had all season long. The first thing that stood out was after the Nebraska loss that Illinois didn't tweak around the edges. They didn't out-scheme things. They didn't reinvent anything. They simply went back to fundamentals. Underwood didn't sugarcoat it. He said that the Nebraska defensive performance, he called it one of the worst that they've had in a while. And the thing that really matters here is context. Illinois scored efficiently in that game. By the numbers, that should have been enough to win. In fact, under Brad Underwood, Illinois almost never loses when their offense is as good as it was, which kind of tells you everything. This wasn't about shots. This was about stops. One of the more interesting things that Brad alluded to was fatigue, and not in the way that fans usually think. He wasn't just talking about being tired late in the games. He was talking about mental fatigue. He specifically pointed out that Illinois defends well early in games, which also is early in practices, in the first few possessions. And then things slip. Possession 20, late closeouts, jogging back instead of sprinting, one missed assignment turning into a layup. And Underwood was pretty blunt. That's toughness. Playing through fatigue, especially mentally, is just... it's what separates good teams from the great ones. And right now, Illinois is still building that muscle. That's why you heard him say he wants to use the bench more, not as a punishment, but because the effort dips when the legs and the minds get heavy. Talking about what he learned from Nebraska, because of course this part matters a lot from Missouri, Brad made it clear he's not going to lose sleep over one guy going nuclear. He referenced Ohio State as an example, a team that had Bruce Thornton go off, but Illinois still controlled everyone else. What bothered him against Nebraska wasn't that Price Sanford went scorched earth. It was how some of the baskets happened. The transition threes, uncontested looks, and the overall defensive negligence. And more importantly, the secondary players eventually beating Illinois. When a guy who averages single digits are suddenly comfortable stepping into big moments, that is a defensive breakdown. And that's the red flag. And he mentioned that Missouri's offense is dangerous, but it's structured similarly to what Nebraska has in a key way. They also rely on rhythm. They will crash the glass, and they score efficiently inside. They're going to punish you if you have a lapse. Brad knows that Missouri is going to feast on offensive rebounds and two-point efficiency, which means that Illinois doesn't get to freelance much defensively. This is going to be about sprinting back, taking on switches, and finishing possessions, not highlights, and certainly not any sort of hero defense. Speaking of defense, which is another key theme here, the Illini new defensive system under Cameron Crocker gives players more freedom off the ball, and that's intentional. It allows anticipation, creativity, and disruption. But Underwood emphasized something important. Freedom only works if core principles don't slip. If rotations are late, if help is lazy, if closeouts are sloppy, then freedom just turns into chaos. Boswell himself also met with media, and he backed that up by talking about the maturity and leadership, especially from the veterans, reinforcing those habits in real time, which is telling. This isn't about scheme anymore. It's all about individual ownership. Brad Underwood talked about offensive rebounding, and if you followed Underwood long enough, you know this already. He is never satisfied with offensive rebounding. Even when Illinois ranks well nationally, he wants more. And this week, that emphasis ramped up again. Why? Because offensive rebounding isn't just about second chance points. He thinks it's about habits. Underwood didn't mince words. Illinois is the king of laying on backs, which is coach speak for quitting on second and third efforts. Instead of spinning, sealing, re-attacking, guys are leaning and watching. And for Brad, that's just not good enough. And he tied it directly back to the conditioning and the toughness of this basketball team. Speaking of, Underwood actually praised David Mirkovic as a natural offensive rebounder, but also made it clear that Illinois is asking more of him than ever before, which again, to me, signifies growth and how much faith they have in David. Same with the Ivišić brothers. Because they stretch the floor, crashing becomes a choice, not a default. Brad wants them reading the play better and attacking from the perimeter. And Andrej Stojakovic, well, he keeps coming up. Underwood has been consistent. Stojakovic has to impact games beyond just scoring. Offensive rebounding is part of that next step. If Illinois truly wants to be the elite of the elite offensively and not just efficient, I think this is going to be the lever. Brad did take also a moment to discuss the Tony Bilic development. Underwood addressed the new addition and said a couple things, that there's no rush, there's no pressure, and there's absolutely no expectation to play. This move seems to be strictly about development. Brad loves the skill set. He talked about the downhill ability, his feel, competitiveness, perimeter skill, but he was just as clear that strength is the priority. This clearly looks like it's going to be a Fletch project, a long-term investment, more practice reps, weight room time, and certainly no spotlight. Again, I think Illinois is thinking about this as sustainability, not just patchwork fixes. As I mentioned, he talked about, he referenced Mirkovic and Nebraska, and he admitted that David just wasn't locked in, and he took responsibility for pulling him back mentally. And as I mentioned before, I think he's going to be the key to the game on Monday evening to see how David responds to Brad's criticism. He brought up Tommy Ivišić, who he noted, when Tommy's shots fall short, that's when you know his legs are tired. and that he's just working on it. And hopefully, this long layoff with the practices is going to help his fatigue get higher. Did talk about my guy, Mihailo Petrovic, and just saying that, Underwood sees growth defensively and in decision making, but the adjustment from being a balls of dominant guard in Europe to adjusting to Big Ten physicality and the style of play this Illinois team it's a hill to overcome. But Brad, the ever optimist, did say that he's closer than fans think. We also had a media member ask him about the G League pipeline, and Underwood was pretty blunt. He says he does not like it. He says he drew a clear line between European pros who never had the opportunity and American kids who do. And that philosophy is going to shape how Illinois is going to continue to build its roster. So, big picture takeaway is this wasn't a rah-rah media session. This was seemingly a course correction. Brad didn't in any sort of way look like he was panicking. He doesn't look like he's overreacting. He simply diagnosed habits, which were defense, rebounding, conditioning, and mental toughness. And that's what this Missouri game is going to be all about. Not revenge, not rankings, not narratives, just execution. And that's possession after possession. If Illinois defends with discipline, finishes their plays, and embraces the physicality, Brad will keep demanding that they'll just be fine. And if not, well, all of a sudden, these conversations get a lot louder. Let me know what you thought of those comments. Let me know your thoughts on David Mirkovic. Do you think he's in for a big game? Mihailo Petrovic, does he have a role in this game? If not now, when? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. There's nothing like college football season, tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right in the middle of it all. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. If you're going to the Illini Music City Bowl in Nashville against Tennessee, Game Time is what you need to use. The app is incredibly easy to use. I went from browsing tickets to purchase in just minutes. I love being able to see the view exactly from my seat before I buy, so I know exactly what I'm getting. And I also, mainly one of my favorite features, just knowing the price and all the fees up front. And it makes the whole process stress-free. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And welcome back. There was a scary moment on Sunday. Pat Bryant, with about 40 seconds left, was hit pretty hard on a very reckless throw by Bo Nix. He went down. He was carted off the field, but I'm kind of relaxed to say that I did check in with a source who knows Pat and said that everything with Pat should be okay. I think he's going to be diagnosed with a concussion, and it looks like nothing worse than that, which, again, concussions aren't easy, right? I've been very open and honest about my experience from a couple of years ago when I was hit by a vehicle, and it's led to a concussion that I'm going to have essentially for the rest of my life. And so I'm not trying to downplay what a concussion feels like, but after seeing that Pat Bryant hit and the way he was hit and the way he was down and the fact that he was carted off the field, I was suspecting a lot worse, and I was afraid of it being a lot worse. So in this case, maybe this is me looking the bright side and saying that concussion was the best case scenario. So Pat Bryant, if you happen to stumble across the show, us at the Locked On Illini community, we all wish you a healthy and speedy recovery. On a little bit more positive news, Chase Brown had the game of his life, scoring 3 touchdowns in the third quarter in the Bengals game on Sunday. So it was nice to see some Illini getting more play. Kasperius Yakishonis just a couple days ago had his first start for the Miami Heat and put up 17 points. Again, he's a kid who has been going back and forth with the G League and the NBA. I think now he's kind of getting to the point where he's put in the spotlight, and Kasparis can hopefully become the player that he looked like in the first half of last year's season. It's the same thing with Will Riley. If you take a look at your social media, a lot of these Washington fans are wondering, who is this kid? And we might have a potential foundational piece. And me telling Wizards fans, I absolutely think you do. And by the way, did you know that Will Riley has grown to be 6'10" now? Like, this kid continues to grow. And, you know, I understand why he made the leap to the NBA, but I can't help but just wonder if he had decided to stay in Champaign one more year, he would absolutely be discussed as one of the National College Player of the Year. But again, all the best of luck to Pat Bryant for getting healthy, Chase Brown to continuing his run, and Kasparis and Will Riley both hopefully elevating their play at the next level. Thank you for tuning into Locked On Illini today. Make sure you're subscribed on your favorite audio platforms. And if you need a last-minute holiday gift or something, or someone that keeps asking you what you want, make it easy. Ask for the Everydayer Club, ad-free episodes of the show, exclusive Discord access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted through the link in the description of the show. And for those of you who are on video, you can be sent the first ever 24/7 National Locked On podcast and via their private channel. Just make sure on your audio, or at least on your second listen, you listen to Locked On College Football or Locked On Big Ten. Locked On Sports Podcast Network, there's a reason it's now become the #1 sports podcast network in the country. It's because not just the quantity, but absolutely the quality that they provide. That's going to wrap it up for today. Not today, really. You're hopefully watching me in the morning, but you can also look forward to watching me tonight, because you know I'm going to go live immediately after the Missouri game. How do you know that? Because I do that after every single game. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Make sure you've liked this particular video, and I will see you after the Braggin Rights game. Go Illini.